Hello everyone and welcome. Today's session is called the Goldband Juniors and is presented by Iavor Raytchev, which is Creditinfo Solutions Chief Technology Officer. Iavor, are you ready to start?
Yeah. Okay, so hello everybody. This is my first academy, so excuse any mistakes. As Becky presented me, I'm Iavor Raytchev, I'm Technology Officer of the Creditinfo Solutions in Prague, and I chose the topic, the Gold Mine Juniors, and I'd like to share a few words why. Basically, Emma asked me last week to jump in an empty slot, and when I thought about it, I didn't want to try to sell something to the group. We have enough salespeople to do that, but share some general wisdom which could be useful for everybody. Probably you know that Solutions is one of the biggest companies in the group, counted from staff. We have about 80 people here in Prague, out of 280 of the whole group. And the IT department has recruited very actively during the last year. We have more than 10 new people. And during the next 6 to 9 months, we might need to add 10 additional people to support the growth. Recruiting as a topic is, I believe, concern for every company and can affect the result in many different ways. Can affect the productivity, can affect the cost. And the choice of seniority is a substantial part of the recruiting process. And I think when Emma announced this academy, she made a joke that it could be like a hot topic, but I believe my presentation is balanced and not really biased in either way. So very shortly, I have built more than 20 IT crews, mainly for companies in Austria and Germany, starting about 95, facing the first internet boom, 2001, and since then until now. And I think that the topic is suitable for everyone, not only for managers, but also for even for juniors who can see how they fit and how they can fit better in this whole process. So what we will cover very quickly, I will speak very quickly about the dilemma, then risk related to seniors, benefits of juniors, how to make the juniors productive, in which cases to employ seniors, and how to replace seniors when they leave. So the first thing is the dilemma. We have quite a number of salespeople and project managers here, and it's understandable that they want to work with the best people in order to deliver. Project managers want to deliver on time, good quality, and for this they want good people. Same with the sales. However, on the street outside there are no wizards who know our products. There are people with different seniority, and we should decide which way to go. Shall we get seniors or shall we get juniors? And usually the temptation and the push from sales and project managers, who are the consumers of these resources, is towards the seniors, of course. And the question is this always right, and why it is not right in some cases? So let's say that the risk of the seniors, basically, I guess most people know what are the benefits of the senior people. They have more experience, which they bring. They have made many mistakes, which they will avoid. But seniors carry some risks as well. For instance, a colleague of ours, Jakub, he moved to Berkeley, and he was one very senior person. He's one very senior person still. And we spoke 4 months into his job, and he said he's still learning there. So basically, the employer had to pay for 4 months and for even longer time for this person to learn. And in the same time, they face the risk, will this person like the company and the crew? Will the company and the crew like them? Will they deliver? How long will it take to find out all this? How much it will cost to find out all this? So onboarding a senior person is an expensive process in some cases, which should be taken into account. And the other thing which one should, so this was more from the perspective of the individual person, but then if we look at the company, we have to find the right mix, because saturating senior levels can lead to over-competition for interesting work, which is one of the problems which we had in Prague. And at the same time, also, there is always some work which is easier. If one doesn't have the right mix of people, this easier work goes to the senior people, which affects the job satisfaction, and of course affects the cost of this more simple work being done. Let's see what are the benefits of the juniors. One of the very interesting for me thing is that a junior can be productive from day one, and the reason is that the things which they have to do are very easy to learn. And we have demonstrated this in Prague probably a dozen of times the last year, employing people, giving them a task the next day, and they could go on this task for several weeks to several months. During this time, they learn, become better, get harder tasks. The cost to try them is significantly lower. Their life with the company is potentially longer. It could be their first love, or their first job, which they like and they stay. They could build a longer career with this company, build a relationship, and of course, some people, for some companies, reach a level where the company cannot afford them. So employing senior who grows in his or her career might result in a longer partnership. In a shorter partnership than having a junior for a longer time. Like the juniors, they come in a way empty. One can shape them completely. They don't have negative luggage. It immediately affects the cost, because the easier work is done by these less costly employees. And then there is a very interesting aspect which I have faced a number of times. Working with seniors, one can discover these raw diamonds, these very talented people who maybe in 10 or 20 years will be unaffordable for your business. But if you get them young, you could have the pleasure to work with them for a number of years. They might like to stay, which would be great. But even if they leave later, you can benefit from a talent at a cost which normally you wouldn't be able to afford probably when they become more experienced. So the question is always how to work with juniors. Is not always easy and not always straightforward. And here comes the balance. Basically, to work successfully with juniors, one needs healthy seniors. Just staffing a company full of juniors is not very efficient. It's not the best thing. So one needs good senior guys with long experience who know the company, who know the product. Then one very important thing, I think it's a bit of a cliche, but it's good to repeat it. I personally employ for attitude and potential and train for skill. Somebody who comes and knows something, the question is, okay, they know it now, will they know more tomorrow? Will they have the right attitude? And we have in Prague several great examples of this, where we took people who knew nothing and who are now 10, 12, 18 months later, fantastic employees, and the teams fight for them. Then one question which comes very often is how to make them productive from day one, and I will speak about this on one of the next slides. But the answer is to slice the work properly, to give them the right piece of work, which is good for them and which they can deliver. And then, of course, one should watch them. There are people who want to excel, who want to do their best. One should be careful that they don't burn out, slow them down a bit, sometimes if necessary. And then we have the other extreme. Sometimes somebody appears slow, but then the question is this person slow because they simply cannot learn, cannot deliver? Or is it one of these people who they're slow but constant? You leave them for 1 week, you leave them for 2 weeks, they advance. You leave them for a month, they advance. And then in 1 year, in 2 years, you have a great colleague, a great employee who delivers greatly at constant speed, improves, etc. And the last of these little advices here is really to don't keep them in the corner. expose them to the company. What we started with the last 5-6 employees, at least in IT, we started a very nice onboarding process where they get a table and they have to meet 10-20 colleagues from different departments, and they learn from them. They learn from them, which results that later if they have a question, they know where to go, they know the people, they can connect knowledge, connect things, and be productive. And now, of course, the question is when to employ seniors, and this is my personal, probably there are different views. Again, successful work with juniors requires good seniors. And the question is, again, if to employ them or to develop them. And I always prefer to develop them, but sometimes it's not possible. So I normally don't employ just for the skill alone. For the skill, I prefer to develop. But sometimes people bring core expertise. For instance, we have Richard Taylor here, who helps us with quality, who has more than 20 years experience with quality, with testing of software. So obviously, such a person one cannot have homegrown. So in such cases, it's very, very good to get the seniors. There could be another case when there is simply no time to employ, to grow the juniors, to train them. Business grows too fast, and we as a group might face this sometimes. There are many tenders in parallel. Sometimes we win probably tenders faster than we grow. In this case, we might need to, and we prepare for this, to employ senior talent faster. Probably the cost will be a bit higher, but still we can deliver. And the last reason to employ seniors is when one wants to change culture and need these carriers of the different culture to be there as a stable pillars and to help turn around the company. And I believe that's my last slide. And it's quite interesting because I often face that when a senior leaves, people start to think how to replace this person, and the first thought is, of course, to get another senior. But I try to promote also a bit different view, which could be to redistribute the work of the senior who left among his peers, among the other seniors, collect the easy work from all of them, and then get a junior, give this easy work to the junior, and just move on. So I think that's all. I hope it was useful, and if there are any questions, I'm ready to answer.
Iavor. Hello. Yeah, I'm trying to ask. I think Iavor is not hearing.
I hear you.
Yeah, okay, you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
I'm wondering about the definition. When is someone senior?
That's a very good
because I think that all of us would like to believe that we are seniors, or if we are juniors, we would like at some point to become seniors. Is there something specific that tells you, yes, you have made it into that group?
That's a very good question, thank you. And I'm always trying to avoid this question because it's a very, very slippery ground. For instance, we have sometimes with the employees talks about salaries, etc., and then say, okay, am I now senior, am I junior? But for me, my personal definition is that if one gets into a position where one can mentor people, I have accepted this to be more like a position of seniority. Of course, if one is a simply good contributor and works alone and works many years, it's also in a way senior position. But for me, it's more has to do with the mentoring. So that's my personal decision. But in general, I try to avoid this topic and kind of stay away from it.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if this answers your question.
No, yeah, it does actually, and I like the answer.
Thank you.
When you start to teaching others.
Yes, yes.
Even if you never stop learning as well.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Do we have more questions?
Yeah, no, if you don't ask, then I would continue talking. So you better ask. No, this is actually, from my point of view, maybe the most important thing of everything in the company. It's how do you hire and build your resources. So I would like to hear more about it. Iavor, just, if I tell you my opinion, on my experience, I've not hired as many people as you have, I'm sure. And I find that my success rate is much higher. It's highest when I hire someone through a reference. But
yes.
let's say that's not an option. How do you hire people? You need, like you said, you have hired the company maybe 10 people in the last year, and you need to hire another 10. How do you make the error rate as low as possible? And how do you monitor? What do you put in place to try to discover as soon as you can if you did make a mistake or not? Maybe you can elaborate a bit on it.
Yes, first of all, about the hiring, what we discovered, for instance, here in Prague, is that through the standard channels like publishing on job websites, etc., Facebook, LinkedIn, we have very, very bad candidates. And we thought about it, and my personal theory is that while we are a very cool company, we are not that well known on the big job market like Oracle or Microsoft, etc. So we don't attract these good people. However, Rainer, because you mentioned through personal references, that's also so far our best channel. And I like it for several reasons. One reason is that if people bring their friends here, it means that they like the company. It means that nobody recommends to their friend something which is not good. So it's a very good signal for me. Also, this already the candidates have passed quite serious level of quite serious filter. Their friends also wouldn't bring somebody who would embarrass them. And then also I think it creates nice social atmosphere, which is also very good. It creates more like a family than simply a job. So this is on the recruitment side. And about checking if they're good or not.
Yes, sorry, can I, do you have any sort of scoring table or some criteria to find out if the person is right? Do you do so sociological test?
I personally don't do tests as a table. First of all, I invite people in the interviews, like who would work with these new recruits, their future team leaders. And because I know that in bigger companies which recruit masses of people, tables or some tests would help. As I said, for me, they're important a couple of things, and one is if they are going to learn, if they give the feeling that they will learn fast, if they have the right attitude, if they're friendly, if they have good English, which is or another valuable language for us, and then we give them a chance. So that's because for me to have a good test which really covers all aspects would be, from my personal point of view, I could be wrong, but it could be too much work to create for the little number of people which we employ. So we give them a chance, and then we start with small contracts, which are 6 months contracts with 3 months a trial period. And people are very exposed. The company is small, the teams are very small, like we build teams of about 4 people, as like a mini social environment. And the feedback arrives very fast if somebody is good. For instance, we had cases here, we wanted to rearrange some teams, and for the good people, like their colleagues, they fight, they either don't want to leave the team or they don't want to let them go, so these are very strong signals for me if people really do job and etc. So I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes.
Do we have more questions?
Yeah. So I want you. Another related item is the salaries. So do you have any guidelines? You know, is there a when you hire someone, how big salaries would you give him during the trial period in relation to what he might be getting after the trial period?
Basically, what we do usually is we challenge them, because my personal feeling, and I think it's shared, we do not want to employ people who go for salary maximization. We look for people who, of course, want salary, but they also work for other reasons. So they like to work in a good company, with good people, with interesting products. So I started this probably with the last 5, 6, 7 people. Basically, we cut their starting salary. Like if they start on junior level, and if the junior salary is 100, we say, okay, you start on 75. Or if we had few people who move jobs, like they come from another job, their last salary was 100. We say, okay, are you ready to start on 75 here and show us for 1 to 3 months? And for me, it's a very good signal when they say, okay, we will do this, because it means that they come for more than the money here. They probably like us, probably like the product, like the company, like the direction, like the market, and they're not coming purely for the money, but for more than this, which I believe we need.
Okay. Do you ever consider sex or origin or race or anything to fit into the team, or do you just hire always best person in your opinion each time?
Basically, normally no. However, in the past, when I started here, the company was predominantly male. Basically, there were close to 0 females. So I tried a bit to fix this balance, which is very difficult in technology because not so many girls are interested in technology and ladies. But I think we did a bit in this direction. I don't have the exact number, but probably I don't know, 15-20% females we have now in the IT, which it kind of improves the general climate. And then for instance, now we just employed somebody a couple of days ago who is a French guy, born in Paris, likes Prague, moved here, looks for a job, because we believe that the French would help us with our French-speaking Africa markets. For similar reasons, we were looking and probably still looking for somebody who comes from the Middle East region to help us there. But basically, if we look specifically for sex or for like ethnicity, or we look for in this direction to improve our mix and to improve our market reach in this direction. Otherwise, no.
Good. Good answers.
There's a question in the chat window, Iavor.
Let me close the presentation, sorry. I'm having difficulty to bring the window, just give me a second. Probably I should stop the sharing. Okay, yes, I see the chat window. Okay.
The question is when to use recruitment agencies?
We tried. I didn't try it personally. I think Alex tried this, and they employed one person, I believe, through agency. I would go for recruitment agency if, for instance, as I mentioned, through the standard advertising channels, it doesn't work very well for us. It works very well through references, but for this one needs a bit bigger company. If the company is only 3 people or 5 people, obviously one depends only on the context of these 5 people, which could be not sufficient. And I think agencies are good exactly in the case where the brand is not Oracle and Microsoft, etc. To get in touch with valuable people. So in this case, for instance, if the internal references don't bring anything, I think I would go to an agency. Though that's more for IT, but just share with you a very interesting thing. I was contacted, there is a website called Stack Overflow, and it's a website where IT people ask questions and answer. And it's very well built, so the community, it really works. It's really brilliant. They give points and badges and banners, and it's like a game, and works very well. And they also use it for recruiting. So if one pays 800 euro per month for 30 days, one can get, for instance, access to their database. One can find all people who have specific IT skill in Prague. And then one can go to their profiles and see what questions they ask or what answers they give. And this is a fantastic way to really look into the people without even inviting them in the office, without reading their CV, just pure skill. I don't know if the same could help in other areas, but apparently there are very clever ways from different communities, online communities, to kind of find people. So it also could be an interesting thing for somebody.
I have a question.
Yes.
LinkedIn has a feature, a talent scouting feature. Have you used that at all?
Yes, we use it with Martin Maxa. And I'm not sure if I have the full feedback or enough feedback, but somehow didn't really bring much. And probably the reason is, again, that the visibility of the company. We are not like a major brand. So I wouldn't say LinkedIn is a bad system. I would say rather it's this problem of visibility. Of like if somebody is 22 and wants a good job, they probably would go to, I don't know, some big company which they know from the advertisement, where we are not that present. So I cannot really comment on the technicality of LinkedIn, if it works or not. But from the standard channels, we get, for instance, a lot of foreigners. I mean, non-EU foreigners, which is very difficult to employ. Like a lot of Russians want to come to Prague, and it has become very difficult to employ them. Recently, even more difficult. And a lot of like Indian, Pakistani try to come here. Very, very few Czech. So it's very, very strange, the standard channels for us.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Do we have more questions for Iavor? Renis, do you have more questions?
No, I just want to say thank you then. Good stuff.
All right, thank you very much, Iavor, for a very interesting presentation.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.